I feel like my perspective about the world in general is sort of rare because in this day and age, there is a lot of extremes on both sides of the spectrum. In the comment sections, I find there's people that like highly agree with what I'm trying to say, or they disagree, and it's either that I didn't go far enough in a certain direction, or that they're totally against what I'm saying. Always something that I'm doing wrong, which is fine. That's what putting things out into the world is all about. And honestly, more people that disagree with me, more people are thinking about what I'm talking about. Therefore, I'm accomplishing what I'm trying to do because I want to make people think about the nuances in life. That's kind of my overarching goal, is to get people to realize that the world is not black and white film. This is actually in color. There's a lot of nuances to life. And there's a lot of nuances to the technology that I've recently been talking about. I've done a few videos talking about Neuralink and, of course, artificial intelligence, and a lot of it leans negative because I feel like the people that are making it, other than the people that are completely open sourcing the technology, not necessarily the people even programming it or really making it, but the people that own the patents behind it, are the same people that sell our data to China and then blame it on TikTok. You know what I mean? Eye tracking's not inherently bad. Neuralink, as weird and as gross as it, like, I would debate getting brain surgery if it was to save my life. I would probably do it to save my life, but it would be a decision. Like, I would have to go home and discuss it with my loved ones and then come to the decision to remove a brain tumor or whatever. And I've been keeping up with the Neuralink and watching the interview of the first guy to get it, and it looks like it all went great. And for him, it's an absolute miracle, right? Can you imagine not needing help, using a little joystick with your mouth, and just how hard life would be, and then to be able to get this surgery and be able to move a cursor and play video games without your parents helping you as an adult? Like, just the amount of dignity that they gave back to him is a miracle, and there's nothing short of that. And I don't want to take anything of that away. And his version of it is like, who knows, right? They're like, he's signed up, so they're probably keeping track all his brainwaves and whatnot. But if you go down the rabbit hole of what some people might consider conspiracy, even though there's TED Talks about these things, you can Google these things.
Uses stable diffusion. Like, what should a thing that you use to make art have anything to do with reading your brain? But of course it goes further. Can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? So our thoughts are starting to be decoded. Yeah. Just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance. So suddenly, AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
They got hats now that you can look at something and the artificial intelligence will remake it and put it onto a screen for other people to see. When I was a kid, we didn't have a portable phone, right? They existed, but I was a poor kid, so we didn't get one till later. And then we didn't get the internet till later. And then I didn't get a smartphone. I think I got the iPhone 4 or something was my first smartphone. And I've watched the world transform again and again with these different technologies. And so I know when I see something like the Apple Vision Pro, and I've made videos about the negative parts of that, right? Like, you could just, if everybody had something that was sunglasses on their face, you could make it so homeless people didn't appear. And then when you become homeless, you just disappear, right? Basically, like, you could trip over them. There's a lot of downsides if you're going to be wearing that all the time. And there's a lot of plus sides to social media. I love YouTube. I love making YouTube videos. I love staying connected with my elderly family on Facebook, right? I like watching, but all of us, as everybody talks about, gets addicted to the scroll. So there's negative parts about social media as well. I mean, just think about drinking. There's probably, in my book, especially in my life, there's more negative to drinking than there is positive, but there are positives to drinking. I mean, look at, like, if you own your own pool, I don't know, first thing that came to mind, you own your own pool. There's a lot of positives to owning your own pool. You can swim every day, have fun, blah, blah, blah. But also, it's a hazard, right? A neighbor kid could sneak in and drown. You have to pay to clean it. And so on. So everything, there's a good and a bad. And it's, to me, like, feel like this needs to be said, which is weird because I feel like I shouldn't need to say this, but there's so many. I feel like when I'm talking about these nuances, I need to say that, or else people are gonna think one way or another. They're gonna think, I have people, and on other people's videos too, when I talk about Neuralink, so many people call it the mark of the beast. There's all these like religious people, and I consider myself a spiritual person. As a spiritual person, I gotta say, I don't want one. I don't want to put it in my head. And like I've said in a short, like, I'm not saying they're wrong, but to jump to that extreme of a conclusion over something that has the potential to help so many people, to me, is ridiculous. But it's also ridiculous, equally so, if not more so, to just blindly trust these giant corporations that time and time again have proven to us that they are not trustworthy. I just watched a documentary, and I don't remember the specifics of it, but GM is like laying more people off, and they're making more money than ever. And it's like the American government, therefore the American taxpayers, bails GM out, right? They would be totally gone. And instead of putting money back into the US and giving more jobs, they outsource it to China and other parts of Asia and Mexico and even other states that they can pay less taxes to. And they lay off people that have been generationally working for them. And that's just one corporation. And a lot of these big billionaires, own a lot of these stocks in all these different companies. So, do you think the inventor of the automobile thought about any of that? Like, maybe he did, but I think he was more of an inventor. And most of the people that are working on this technology, like the people at Brainlink, I've been calling it Brainlink, the people at Neuralink, I'm sure 90% of those people that are that passionate about BCI technology, and all the other companies as well, sure, they want money, they want to survive, and who doesn't want to be rich? But also they're probably doing it for the better of humankind, if not just having a super technical mind that they just love playing with this technology. I don't think they have a bad motivation to it. But the people that are like dragons that sit on their big pot of gold and they just accumulate, and some of the things you hear about these people, right? Like the man that shall not be named on social media or you'll get banned. Like that guy and all his associates and many of these billionaires that, like, let's say the Gates, like, have connections, right? And I'm not saying that they're guilty, but I gotta say, like, Microsoft was in a similar lawsuit that Apple's in right now. And I love technology. That's why I talk about it so much. Like, to be able to put on a hat and then be able to control a cursor. Like, I really like my keyboard, but that's intriguing. And like I said in a previous video, I've used that technology before. It felt like I was growing a third arm. It was an awesome feeling. This technology is amazing. And I like the idea of self-driving cars. A lot of people don't like that. I get it. You like to control your car. I like to drive too. But there's a lot of accidents. And I've had a lot of people hurt in car accidents. And if they could get good enough to where there was no more car accidents, that's awesome. But at the same time, with the car thing, I mean, what if they just, like your car's tattling on you, you run a red light, or maybe that's better for society somehow. But like, I don't trust the government like that. And I don't trust these corporations like that. The track record just doesn't pan out. I believe that we're in late stage capitalism. And I never wanted this channel to become that, but more and more I see, and the things that I'm interested in have led me to that. And I really just want to make videos that are about my life and things that I'm interested in. But as the channel's progressed, I find myself, one, wanting to niche down, and I see the videos that are doing well are talking about that. And two, I because they're doing good, I almost feel like I'm obligated to talk about it, because I feel like not enough people are talking about it in the way that I feel should be talked about it. Like, you either have these people that are, like I said in the beginning, just totally against it and think it's coming to like ruin our lives. And then you have people on the other side, like, you know, like Marcus Brownlee, who's a great YouTuber. I watch him all the time, right? Or even Casey Neistat, who just loves Apple, big Apple fanboy. He'll admit it, blah, blah, blah. And they just like, they're down with these corporations, and they're just down to like use these products, and everything they do is more or less great. Like, they might talk about some of the bad things they do, but in the end, they're just like excited about technology, and they don't really touch on the other side of it. And then you got people like me, and I feel like most people should at least think somewhat in the middle. If you're going to introduce a new piece of any type of technology, you should think about what that's going to do for your life. Is it going to benefit your life, or is it going to hurt your life? Is the pros worth the cons? I mean, nobody could have explained to anybody, including Steve Jobs, right? Or any of the other people that made different smartphones and Blackberries and blah, 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 what the smartphone would do for society. I mean, there might have been a few like historians or something that saw it coming, but most people didn't think about that level of change that it was going to bring. And now with AI devices, AI doing all this stuff, maybe stealing people's jobs, we can see it coming because we've seen it happen numerous times within the last 30 years or whatever. The internet, the personal computer, the phone, right? Different companies. So we can see it coming better than we could have if these things hadn't have happened so fast. This isn't our first rodeo. And I feel like, you know, with the AI discussion, so many people are like, we need to think about this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm getting to the point where I just feel like I'm tired of saying we, because I feel like a lot of this stuff we don't really have a choice about. Nobody asked me if the world was ready for artificial intelligence, or if the world was ready for the smartphone. It just kind of came out, and then once everybody has it, you're kind of left behind if you don't also get it. I'm terminally online. I love this stuff. I live on it. But these technologies can be used for good. I do believe that. Artificial intelligence mixed with robotics, mixed with AR and VR and brain implants and brain neurofeedback, and all these different technologies combined, if used correctly, can make the world a tremendously better place. Can you imagine? Nobody does any work that they don't want to do. Everything's built on passion. We could transform the school system to have kids concentrate on what their passions are. And there always needs to be a human behind the decisions of the world, right? The world could be so great because of these technologies. We could literally go to like Star Trek world. We could make the world into this like utopia with these technologies. But I'm worried, you know, I'm worried about who's controlling these technologies. I'm worried if the human race is even ready for these technologies. And I'm not saying life would ever be perfect. Life is a struggle. That's what life is, just a struggle, right? You're always going to have struggles. But we could end starvation. We could end all these like horrible things that happens to humans. And honestly, I think we could anyway with the technology that's already prevalent. And I think greed is what hurts us the most. And I feel like a lot of people I know aren't that greedy. We all have a little greed in us, but I do feel like there is a few people at the top, and maybe even the full system, right? Because the whole argument of like you replace the CEO, and I mean, it's straight illegal not to do what's most profitable. That's how Elon Musk ended up with X. And I'm not so the corporations aren't even evil. I don't know what the answers are. All I'm saying is we got to think things through. It's healthy to think things through. I had a teacher in high school, and he always said, question everything. Question everything. And I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you in the next live. But hopefully in the next video.